welcome you all this evening to yet another exciting SMPTE meeting. Just a couple of bits of administrative trivia here before we kick off our evening. Our boot camp is coming up in June. Everybody's registered for the boot camp? Right. So everybody needs to check out and have a look on the web and give some consideration to registering for our boot camp. It's our annual event, biannual event, every 2 years in June. This year we'll be focusing on 4K and IP. And IP, of course, is many things, live IP, over-the-top television, internet, mini-screen delivery, all this stuff. So it's very exciting, and we'd like everyone to consider attending. And as well tell your colleagues and friends about the event. But as well, as paper chair, I would like to pitch the idea of submitting a paper for our conference. We're looking for any topic that relates to current evolution of workflows technology. 4K and IP are especially popular. And if you have an idea, if you're working on something, or you're doing something that you think other people would be interested in, shoot us an email at the email address here, simplypapers@gmail.com, and let us know what that would be. And we'll help you put together a presentation. Nothing formal. We're not looking for a published paper or any of this nonsense. We're looking for a half an hour of some interesting subject you can stand up and talk about. So please spread the word, tell your colleagues and yourselves. Please consider putting in an idea for a paper. We're extending our window for papers. You've still got a couple of weeks. Please, by all means, come up with an idea, shoot us a note and say, hey, I could talk about delivery of ad content to handheld devices. Okay, tell us you know about it, and we'll follow it up with you. We're going to start a new idea next month. How many people in this room know everybody else's name in this room? I know you know. So what we're going to do, starting next month, is all of the board are going to start wearing their little name tags that Cynthia has issued us, which we're very bad at. And we're also going to provide a little pad of, hi, my name is stickers, and a Sharpie out by the Peace Center. We'd like everybody to stick on the sticker that says, hi, my name is whoever, and I work wherever I work. And it'll be an opportunity for people to help get to know each other around the section. Nominations are open for the board of the Toronto section. If anyone in the room would like to run, or if anybody in the room would like to nominate someone, please use the same email address. And as quickly as you possibly can, send us an email telling us who you'd like to nominate and why. And we'll follow that up with you as the nominator. And then one last thing we'd like to do, we did this a while ago and sort of the habit fell away, and it's a useful thing. We're going to begin publishing available job openings in the area as we get them with our monthly meeting notices. So if you're a potential employer, or if your employer has job postings that you think would be of interest to the members of the section, please let us know. Again, the same email address will work for now. Shoot us a note about the job opening, and we'll ensure that it gets published with the meeting notice every month. And then tonight, our exciting topic, and it is an exciting topic because education, of course, is more important today than it ever was. Broadcasting is exploding. What we do is growing in leaps and bounds, and education is the core of that. Teaching people entering the industry not only what we did all these years and what we do today, but plant the seeds for what they're going to learn to do tomorrow. And so with education being an important topic, we felt it deserved an evening. And so this evening, Stosh Durbosh and Bruce McLeod from our board, Mr. Bruce, Mr. Stosh, take a bow, have organized a very interesting evening. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Stosh, and he can kick it off. Stosh?
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. I won't take much time. On behalf of Bruce and myself and the rest of the board, I'd like to thank everyone for coming. Also would like to take a note, special thanks to Deltec, our sponsor tonight, who provided the pizza and pop and vegetables and fruit. Without them, you'd be a little bit hungrier right now. I'm not sure if anyone's here from Deltec. If so, if you could say hi. No? Okay. So next time you're speaking to someone from Deltec, certainly be sure to say thanks for dinner tonight. So we're going to jump right into it. We have 3 presenters tonight. We're just going to go 1, 2, 3. We'll get through it perhaps at the end of each presentation. If you do have any questions, let's just do it at that time. First up will be Eric Heidendahl, Program Coordinator at Loyalist College. Eric's a graduate from the Electronics Technology Program at Centennial College in Scarborough back in 1974. Eric, bad news for you, that was the year I was born. During his 30 years in the broadcast industry, he's held numerous high-profile positions such as Engineering Manager for TSN, Engineering Manager for Dome Productions, located in the Sky Dome, Sales and Service Manager for Quantel Canada, as well as General Manager in 4 different capacities with Sony Canada. Most recently, Eric has served as VP of Tech Services for CanWest Global TV and Director with Asgard Technologies before joining Loyalist College. I present you, Eric.
You'll have to flag me when you get to about 30 minutes.
Sure.
So I was thinking maybe a good paper for Paul would be how to hook up a projector with 2 minutes to go. In fact, I'm thinking that's a good exercise for my students, who, by the way, one of the transitions you have to make when you're teaching is that you realize you can't use some of the lines you've used in the past, of course. So you guys all remember the format battles that went on between Betamax and VHS, right? And the students all look at you with a blind stare like, what are you talking about? That's that tape stuff. They're not very keen to tape anymore. So, here's what I'm going to talk about tonight. I wanted to broaden this a little bit, just not to make it about broadcast engineering technology, which is, of course, close to my heart, and that's what I'm the coordinator and a professor of that program. But I wanted to just highlight a little bit of the college's commitment to the broadcast business. And as you'll see, with provincial dollars getting slimmer and slimmer, I think they've done a remarkable thing at the college, which we'll talk about. And so those recent developments, I have a nice video that highlights some of the changes that have come about. There's some interesting stuff about those changes as well. And then how is it we got into broadcast engineering technology in any case at the college? And I'll talk a little bit about the history there. I think, how many SAIT grads do we have in the audience tonight? There's one. Okay, so that's a rarity, just having one. As you know, the industry is full of SAIT grads and they run a wonderful program. Broadcast Technology, the magazine, in 2011 ran a survey, and I don't know if anybody here responded to it, but I'm going to talk a little bit about that survey because it's very telling. And then I'm going to bore you to tears and just talk about the curriculum. And there's 3 guys here that should know that curriculum really well. In fact, I may test them later because we have 3 graduates from the program here tonight. And then the advisory committee, something that Tom knows very well. And just what role does the advisory committee play? Well, it turns out it's a very important role. And then finally, what are we doing to market the program? And going forward, what is it that you need to do? It's not just all about me. So, Loyalist College, when I was hired, the dean there was a lady by the name of Jane Harrison. And Jane was somewhat of a visionary, I'd have to say, and she came up with some really great ideas on how to improve the business of teaching journalism programs, TV media, that sort of thing. And I'm going to show a video of her in just a second. She has since moved on. She had, I think she retired last year, last August, and she's working on special projects at the college, so I caught her in one of the days that she was in. So when we started, we were the School of Media, and the graduates here will remember that. Probably says that on their diplomas, or their advanced diplomas. But now we are known as the Media Arts and Design School, MAD for short. So that, of course, means that we are all bona fide MAD professors at the college in this particular school in any case. Like anywhere, renewing facilities is crucial to staying current. If you're not staying up with technology, then you're falling behind. And for an educational facility, that's kind of a death knell, I think. So one of the changes that's happened, and it was really a financial one, I think, for the college, was they broadened the responsibilities that the MAD school has, and in fact, they added general arts and science to the programs that the dean in the MAD school has to look after. So we actually have become MAD gas now, to make it even worse. So here are some of the programs that are in this particular school, and most of them make sense, but there's the odd one, like English for academic purposes. You might wonder why it's there. And this really came about because the school was looking to consolidate some programs together under one management group. But you'll see that broadcast engineering is there, and there are some programs that make a lot of sense, like journalism, online print and broadcast, photojournalism, radio broadcasting, television new media, animation, advertising, and marketing communications all make perfect sense for our school. So the recent developments at the college are that we've just opened what we call a digital media center. Not only that, but we just built an HD production control room. Although they were working in SDI, they had not stepped into the HD domain, and now they have. And you're going to have to excuse me because I think I'm going to have to run back.
I'll do it for you.
Okay, so if you can just click on that video. So this is Jane Harrison just talking about the achievement of building the Digital Media Center and a little bit about Brett. Oops.
There you go. Okay, there's the trap.
Just keep wiggling until it shows up.
There's really two things that I think are critical. One is the recognition of the importance of the array of media studies programs to the college as a whole. Part of what all colleges were asked to do was submit a view to the future to the ministry, and one of the things they said was the development of this was the beginning of the Centre of Excellence for Media Instruction in Eastern Ontario. So it is part of the strategic vision of the college as a whole. In terms of why I was so passionate about doing it is simply to give an appropriate environment to our media school, particularly journalism, but not excluding others as well. It's a vibrant industry. We need to represent it. We need an inspiring environment in which students can learn, and I think we've got that. 6 years. So it started with just a discussion. And then I made an application to the ministry for special funding because it's not an inexpensive proposition. We weren't successful in that round, although they said the idea had merit, but other things took their place. Then the Skills Center was built, and that's where sort of the ministry funding went. But I didn't give up. I kept going back and saying, I think this is a critical move for us, and the college itself actually funded it in the end.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, 2 years ago. So 6 years from idea to reality, and 2 years from the approval to the reality. For once, we're truly integrated in terms of the facilities required to do news of any sort. So social media, online, radio, whether it's audio for online or radio broadcasting, television broadcasting, video for online. It's all right here. So is the idea space to explore, the meeting space to be able to meet and perform critiques, the accessibility of the faculty, everything that you need is right here. And so you're not running around and getting lost in the shuffle. And it also means that as faculty teams, and I've used plural because, as you know, more than one program uses this facility, we develop new workflows that we're hoping will help the industry, because the industry is changing as we are, and in some cases we're just slightly ahead of the curve, of which we are inordinately proud. The Broadcast Engineering Technology program was very important in a comprehensive vision. The people who fix things, because as we know, they break all the time, and that's what keeps us alive. And the industry came to us and said, we just don't have anybody doing this job. We need more people. People are retiring. We are having to take people with general computer studies or electronics backgrounds and try and teach them about broadcast application. So we saw that as an opportunity. I'm going to say that would have been about 9 years ago now, to develop a program that would meet the industry needs. And I have to say we've had an enormous amount of support from the industry itself. The advisory committee is made up of all the major players in broadcasting and content creation, more than just broadcasting in Canada. And they have made huge donations, but they've also donated time on their radio stations to promote the program, and they are our ambassadors. Our students have had wonderful jobs when they graduate. They earn a ton of money, by and large, which is dear to parents' hearts, and probably students too, graduates. But it's still a tricky career to explain to people who aren't part of the industry, because it can mean so very many different things. So we thought we're going to meet the industry needs, and we're going to provide graduates that are going to be really viable employees, and we've achieved that.
Paul, there is no royalties. Nathan, forget it. Don't ask. Okay. Richard, if you could kill that window. So did you notice when they were going through the equipment in the racks that we had QR codes and various things? I'd like to say, what is a QR code? Well, one of the things is we started a project in the college, probably when these gentlemen went to school. It was always an effort to find the software and the manuals for a piece of equipment that you were assigned to work on. So now what we've done is we have QR codes on the racks, and the student come up with a smartphone, scan the QR code, and it's going to tell them where they can find the manuals and the software that they need to configure or talk to that equipment. On top of which, there weren't that many shots of the HD production control room. But one of the interesting things was when we went to tender for the HD production control room, to say the tender was a bit lacking, an understatement, but we only really had one respondent come back. We had a lot of people actually that phoned me to say, you can't really build a system for this. And so we kind of, the other advice that we were getting from others, Bruce in particular, called me up to say, why don't you get your students to actually do the design? And so that's what we did. We kind of did a parallel design with our students. We were very fortunate. We had 2 students that had gone through the TV New Media program for 3 years, and then of course to get a job they came into the broadcast engineering realm. And so they had the perfect background. They knew what the students in TV New Media needed, and they came to us and helped us design that facility, which was a great experience for everybody. And the QR codes, well, that's kind of the icing on the cake now. Students are going to find it much easier to locate what they need. So the replacement for Jane, you may be wondering, is a lady named Kathleen Basker, and she currently is the acting dean, but she's taken over that role. And I have a short video of her, and she's talking about how, from a journalist perspective, the Digital Media Center is making a difference.
The Digital Media Center was really founded on the principle that students learn best by osmosis, and working in a collaborative and creative space gives them the skill set to be successful in the industry. So it's not just the design of the space that works for both faculty and students, it's also that they're working with the latest hardware and software that reflects industry standards. I think in all of our media programs there's one constant, and that's the readiness for the industry. The fact that students can see their time at Loyalist as a return on investment so that they get the hard and soft skills, the knowledge of software, the knowledge of working hands-on work with hardware that they can then deploy in the industry. Many of the employers who hire Loyalist grads are gratified that they're using, in many cases, the same equipment that's used out in the industry. But at the same time, there's equal emphasis on the basics of storytelling.
It's like we're in a real newsroom. We have computers, we have live news going on, we have people coming in and out with story ideas. Because we're in a huge open setting, we're able to hear stories that other people are doing, and then that inspires us to also go and find different stories in the community. I don't think I could do this alone. Because I'm in a newsroom with other people and other students, we're able to bounce ideas off of each other and also give good feedback and also push each other to pursue a story or pursue an idea that's been dwelling in our heads. I would love to start my own kind of magazine, finding really unique stories in a community, and then hoping those stories empowers the community, to grow and to connect with each other, to see I'm not alone in this. So I would love that my photojournalism skills actually affect a community.
I'd like to see media, arts and design at Loyalist College creating a presence, and at the end of the day, we're creating content that people can enjoy, and hopefully those people include Loyalist students, staff, and faculty from all programs at the college. There's great student content that's created here. We're proud to share it with the world.
He actually came to the college, and I think that person that he was embracing was a good friend that was working at the college. Shift F5. Oh, that's good. So, enough about the college in general and the school that we're working in. So a little bit about the history. How did Brett get started? And I know firsthand, because while I was at TSN, we used to make the trek out to Calgary all the time. And there was a number of people, for people from Harris. I interviewed Don Besner as an example when he was a graduate. And Paul Thomas and just a host of others. So the industry is full of great state stories where these students have done very well. But traveling to Calgary was quite an onus on broadcasters in the East. So it really highlighted the fact that a program in Ontario that would service broadcasters in Ontario really made some sense. At the time, the acting VP was a guy named Jeff Cudmore, who'd been with the school for quite a while. So between him, Dave Taylor, who is actually Jane's husband, and he was a teacher at the college as well, they were both very passionate about the idea that there had to be a technical role in Ontario somehow. And so in 2008, the first class commenced, and I was hired in 2009 because it was a case of they had actually 14 students that were enrolled and in the program, and then they really needed someone to carry it forward. And unfortunately, one of the guys, Kevin Donahue, that had written a lot of the curriculum and a lot of the program outlines, he was unable to continue and has since sadly passed away. So there is really only one full-time faculty at the college that deals with the television side, and that's myself. So the broadcast dialogue survey was kind of more evidence, I think, that a program like Brett was required. They took an in-depth look at broadcast engineers and just, it was a three-part thing. I don't know if you've all read it or not. So part one was the good news. And the good news is that all of you love your jobs. And we've seen so many broadcast engineers over the year, whether it's radio or TV, they'll virtually do whatever they have to keep the station on air or get the shot, do what they have to do. That's the kind of commitment that all of you have to the industry. And so the good news is, I think 96% of respondents said they love their jobs. So a great, interesting job. The not so good news, perhaps, is that stress levels are on the way up. And of course, we know all those motivating factors. One of them is that broadcast engineering types have to work 7/24, or 24/7. Then it may be also a case that stations are cutting back, and in some cases they cut back on engineering staff, so they're asking engineers to do more with less. And I think one of the keys here was lack of resources. That the engineering staff that were surveyed here said that budget, staff, and time available to do the job were all dwindling. So having the proper gear and tools to do the job was going to be an issue. Something like 46.5% said that sufficient training and development opportunities were not open to it, as an example. And over 2/3, or just about 2/3, said that the workload had increased. And not surprisingly, 73% said they had to work beyond regular hours. Not a big surprise. Or assume greater responsibility. So part three was the interesting bit, I think. When it looked at the demographics, it's just exactly who is doing broadcast engineering today. Well, it turns out that only 26% of respondents were under the age of 40. And when you add up the over 40 and the over 50, it's a good chunk of the industry. So what does that mean? It means guys like myself are getting close to retirement, and whether we like it or not, and there's a role to play for young people coming into the business. So all of which says there's a pretty good story out there for young people to say, you know, this is a great industry to get into. Why? It's interesting work. You're not doing just one thing. You could be working on optics, pneumatics, mechanics, electronics, could be anything. So it's an interesting job, and it pays fairly well. So why is it that we have problems attracting people to the course? I think the answer to that is really that the allure of a computer-based future usually draws off a number of students that are looking for a career. And this is definitely a hard career to explain to somebody. I mean, we've talked about it many times in our advisory committee meetings, and Tom's heard this story many times. But the upshot is that once you actually get a student and you take them into a broadcast plant, show them how it works and what opportunities are available, I think you have them hooked and they're going to be in the program. Recently we have added we had 2 women in the very first graduating class, and then we had 3 years of no women. But this year we've had 2 women come into the program, and I'm happy to say that one of them, who is a mother with 2 children, who's come back to school again, is going to be our best student this year. So I think it's a great career for women, and we should be advertising that more and more. So this is a bit of an eye chart, but essentially what this was intended to do was to say that we're going to run the broadcast engineering program as several themes. And if you look at the blue squares, for instance, that's going to be electronics, I think, and the orangey ones are going to be digital technology, and then green, I think, turns into systems integration or microprocessors, and then later on into building systems with a microprocessor. By the way, we've adopted the Raspberry Pi as the processor of choice now, so all the students are working with Raspberry Pis, and in their final year, they're required to build a project that is controlled by their software, and they're controlling some broadcast hardware. And admittedly, it won't be probably the most advanced hardware. It could be some really old gear, but anyways, the point is that they have this hardware-software connection they have to make. So here's what it looks like. Year one is kind of an introduction to electronics and to computers, and in fact, the computer side of it we teach from a Digital Concepts A+ book. And so that said, it means that we could offer the students that if they go and write the exam, they could get A+ certified. I did it myself, actually. I wrote the A+ exam just before they were going into a different mode where you're going to have to rewrite it every 5 years, I think it was. So I got grandfathered and I'll have it for life. But it's a good certification that really tells employers that you know something about how a PC is put together. In the second semester, then, we get into electronic diagrams and CAD design. So we've got a number of students going through this right now. They're just completing all of this. In the second year, we start to get more heavily into the broadcast equipment. We start talking about radio frequencies and RF for broadcasting and shot techniques and RF systems, test and measurement, video and audio systems, an introduction to ATV and HDTV, which if ATSC keeps failing the way it is, I'll have to revise that to something else, maybe an introduction to 4K or something. And finally, in the third year, it's really a case of we ask the students to use their newfound skills and tools and put them to use so that they can build, well, in the very last semester here, they can build a project which is going to be a combination of hardware that they build as well as some software to control it, which they write. And you'll notice that in both the third year and the second year, there's an internship available. So we've had great results with the internship. The broadcast companies that are represented on our advisory board are quick to step forward and take interns. In fact, one of the problems we don't have is finding jobs for graduates. We're approaching 100% take-up on our grads. From the beginning, we've been certified by SPE in the U.S., and in the beginning that was going to be a test that had to be written, and now it's just you have to write them a letter. The students write a letter to me, and I send it back to them, and they apply for this, and they get a certification from SPE. I'm hoping to discuss that with SPE while I'm down at Vegas this year. That is, if the Ontario government decides to send me. In addition, of course, we are a sustaining member of SMPTE, so whoever is in charge of the little plaques, by the way, we're missing the last 2-year plaques. Okay. You'll see what I'm talking about. So the advisory committee, Tom Bradbury's in the audience tonight, so he knows this story really well. But it's important that we have an advisory board that tells us, are we teaching the right things? And maybe we need to revise the program content because it's getting out of date and it really isn't relevant anymore. And so not only that, but these guys in the advisory committee have been instrumental in donating equipment to the program. So I think we have now something like 20 camcorders, which are probably 10 years old or more. But they're still serviceable, and from an optics point of view, if you're teaching back focus or something, they're still very usable. We do struggle sometimes to have enough HD equipment to be meaningful, but that situation, it tends to correct itself over time. And that's the plaque I'm talking about. We need 2013, 2014. Somehow they just stopped coming. So we ended up, we didn't really have a way to express our thanks to some of these folks, but we ended up doing a plaque for them. And Can West actually donated a bunch of servers for us, and Sylvia was very generous in donating some test equipment. We which we still use just about every day. Thank you very much. And CTV, they've been just great. Tom, as you know, we've had bucket loads of stuff from there. Bell Express View, when Wayne Scrivens was still there, we used to bring the van and just fill the van up with old stuff, and everybody was happy. So marketing the program. Now, I have a video here, which is the very first video that was created by TV New Media in standard definition. And when you watch it, you want to look for some familiar faces, because you're going to recognize some of the folks here. And they may not have the same affiliation as they did when this video was shot. Hey, wait. Oh, it's a Microsoft problem. But the hourglass. Oh, I see. You hit contact.
Oh, yeah.
It's a natural.
Oh, yeah, go left.
Okay.
Broadcast engineering is a booming business right now.
It's a very exciting industry with lots of challenges, lots of projects.
Being a broadcast technologist also means that you get paid really well.
There's certainly some long-term careers available, whether it's in a satellite truck or a teleport or fiber optics or one of those microwave trucks that are so common now in local TV news. We create programming not just for television, but for the internet and alternative media sources as well, be it mobile television or streaming applications. There's a lot of opportunity. Film Productions is a company that travels far and wide producing events for ESPN, Fox, Television, CTV, TSN, and Rogers Sportsnet.
We are a broadcast and high definition camera and avid rent a facility with offices in Toronto, Vancouver, Halifax, and Los Angeles. And recently we opened an office in Beijing, China.
We'll work from Miami to San Diego to the Yukon to the Newfoundland area, broadcasting all different kinds of events. Every live show needs a transmission component. Broadcast engineering grads are the people who get those jobs.
I am the broadcast technologist here at Loyalist College, and I look after 91X FM. My responsibility is to keep that running 365 days a year, 24 hours a day.
It requires a very kind of dynamic individual, good, strong attitude that works closely with others and can find a way to integrate and be part of that team. You would want to work at a broadcast station because we offer a lot of opportunities to get involved behind the scenes in creating television programming.
I really like the job because you're not always sitting at a desk. You actually get to take things apart, put them back together, help people out.
I'm one of those people that
look forward to coming to work every day. Would I do this job for the next 15 years of my life? Absolutely.
Go ahead, caller.
In the radio business, there's a shortage of broadcast engineers right now.
And I know there's a great need for production technicians in the broadcast industry.
Because of the scarcity and because of the changes in technology, there's always an opportunity for promotion, learning, ongoing rewards on a daily basis.
There are equal opportunities for male and females in this career.
I'm very excited about this program being developed at Loyalist College.
When I went to school, there was not any purpose-built programming for broadcast engineers. So now is an opportunity to get into a program that is purpose-built for engineering and the discipline of broadcasting.
The entire Canadian broadcast landscape is looking for broadcast technicians and broadcast engineers right now.
Okay, I just want to run this. One thing as well is we got feedback from the state to say that one of the ways they increased their enrollment was they went back to, you know, if it's really important to have this program, maybe you guys could have a stake in the game. And so not only did Rogers create a radio spot for us, but they ran it on Fan 590 multiple times in prime time at no cost to the college. So Rogers really stepped up, and this is what the spot sounds like. If you can roll that, Richard.
Play it off here?
Yeah.
Which one is it?
It's the only one that has the musical note beside it.
Pass like that. You getting the audio files or?
Where the show must go on, only you can make it happen. Be a broadcast engineer behind the scenes at sports, music, and live broadcasts. If you're ready to be part of the excitement of television and radio, you belong in the Broadcast Engineering Technology program at Loyalist College. A 3-year advanced diploma program fully accredited by the Society of Broadcast Engineers. Enroll today and work with major broadcasters on complex systems, facilities, and IT networks. Broadcast Engineering Technology at Loyalist College. Check it out, loyalistcollege.com.
You may wonder why the noise in the background. They actually do that on purpose so that you can't distribute the audio clip, which they have rights for. So, interesting that Rogers ran that for 2 years running, just to promote the program. So, and we did some print ads as well. We had the marketing department at the college was very instrumental in creating some ads, trying to generate some more interest. Derek is actually working at Dome Productions as well. This is one of our second-year students. And I guess I'm going to stop here. I do have some examples of student work, but I think I'm running out of time. We're going to wait for questions till the end of it?
Sure. Or you can use some questions now if anyone has anything.
All right, well, just what we do is once the students complete their final projects, and this we inaugurated this 2 years ago, they get brought into a room and they actually get to sort of demonstrate how their particular invention is going to work. Greg is here tonight, Greg Bolton, wherever you are, put your hand up. Greg had an amazing project. He actually built a, it it was an audio matrix, so we actually wrote some software to control an audio matrix and did all the hardware, the hard way I might add, to make an audio matrix work. And I think the sound quality in the end was pretty good, wasn't it? Okay. It's okay. So that was the purpose of that, was just to demonstrate all these projects. And actually, again, it was kind of a marketing effort. We're trying to bring students in from other programs in the first and second years to show them just exactly what was in store for them. So I think it worked out pretty well. So that'll be it for my talk. Are there any questions?
I got a good one for you.
Sure.
So, have you ever run into issues with all hardware and licenses? If so, how do you get around that?
Yeah, well, I can tell you how we got around. We actually picked up a Pedasite from Bell Express View. They wanted to get rid of it, complete with drives and everything. But because of the licensing issue, they couldn't give us the Avalon software that had been configured to work with it. And so we took it, we put it in the college, and it was just so onerous to bring all the pieces together and buy software to make it run that we never did. We ended up pushing it into destruction. So that's a kind of, if you like, in terms of the equipment sometimes is so aged that the broadcasters throwing it out anyway. We've just taken it. If it doesn't work for us.
That's like an issue would be more from the future as they walk down.
Yeah, well, hopefully we can spend more and more investment dollars. As an example, we bought a fair amount of HD equipment from Eberts, and we did buy some electronics equipment as well. And so those things we have licenses for, and those are really the important pieces of gear going forward. The stuff that we're trying to recover and resurrect, if it works, it's a bonus, and if it doesn't, we move on. Yeah. Anybody else? Good question. The licensing is becoming a big deal.
All right, thanks very much for that on behalf of the